It did not adhere to the values of the university basically, and it was just an organization that would not promote the topics in a positive light. They thought that it's going to be very controversial and one-sided, and that we are going to be attacking and being this vicious organization that we were not. So luckily, from the very beginning, we got in contact with Palestine Legal. This was in the fall of 2015, and they gave us the amazing advice of, just keep pushing forward, do everything right. As long as you do what is right, everything will be okay. So we did everything as was necessary, moved forward, and with them by our side, they continued to give us guidance and help. And now, because we did not get what we wanted and we were not allowed to be on campus, they're helping us file a lawsuit against Fordham University and telling them that they need to reverse their decision, and there has to be Students for Justice in Palestine at Fordham. So if it was not for Dima and the other attorneys who she works with at Palestine Legal, we would not be able to take this road. We would not be able to bring this in front of a court. We would not be able to get the media presence that we have and the attention we've gotten. They are really, just as from the bottom of my heart, it's an amazing organization that there's not a single one here in the United States that I can name that has done the same great things that Palestine Legal has done for us at Fordham. And I know that this Palestine exception is real. It does happen across this country. Fordham is not going to be the last, I'm sure. And I'm sure that there's still going to be other cases to come. And that's why we need to step behind Palestine Legal and really support them moving forward. So I will let Dima come back up and speak. And
thanks, Ahmed. And I mean, I think it's important to say that we wouldn't exist without students and activists like Ahmed, who are willing to put themselves out there, who are willing to stand up and push forward despite all of the odds. The admiration and the respect goes both ways, really, and that's why we do what we do. I want to take a chance to, I'm so appreciative to Rania, who made this happen, to Diab and to Abid, to Bassem and Mona, who have supported us for years now. And thank you to all of you for coming out on this rainy Sunday. I really want to tell you how Palestine Legal started, and give you an idea of what we do and why, and also the kind of impact we're having. As soon as I get my technical. Okay. I'm an attorney. I didn't go to law school to be a traditional lawyer. I never wanted to be in court or litigate. I always wanted to do something related to Palestine because we can't escape it. It follows us everywhere. I grew up in a household where, politics was at the dinner table and, omnipresent in our lives. And I saw from when I was young the kind of impact it has, with my own father being attacked and targeted for his scholarship and his advocacy, and we saw this happening around the country. It's not a new phenomenon. And I originally wanted to work on human rights, international law, and so I studied international law. And I worked on international law issues, working with organizations like CCR to try to hold Israeli officials accountable for international law violations, for war crimes, etc. And those cases haven't been successful because the courts too are weighted against us. And we all know what the UN is like. We took cases to the UN, and it's just not an effective mechanism to achieve our rights. So after law school, a couple of years after law school, I began talking to a number of attorneys, activists around the country and the world to think about what we could do here in the US to further Palestinian rights. And what I kept hearing, that yes, there are these other mechanisms, you could bring lawsuits, but they'll probably, be obstructed by so-and-so and the other. What I kept hearing was how difficult it was for people to talk about this issue. How students had their events canceled. How they were stopped in many ways from doing their activism, targeted and accused, and professors being thwarted in different ways from undertaking scholarship related to Palestine. And after these many conversations, it became clear that what we need is to protect the right to talk about Palestine in the US. Why? Because if we can't talk about it, if we can't have these conversations in an honest and open and free way without intimidation, without being targeted and accused of being pro-terrorist or anti-Semitic, there's no way to change the status quo. There's no way to advance our perspective and our rights for the Palestinian people in general. There's no way to change the U.S.'s unconditional support for Israel if we are prevented from even starting the conversation or talking about it. So I founded Palestine Legal in 2012, and from just me, now almost 5 years later, we are 6 full-time staff people, and we have offices in New York and the Bay Area and in Chicago. And we're growing. We're in the process of hiring a 7th full-time staff person now. So why now? I think it's important to recognize the moment we're in and the context of this organization. As I said, this is not a new phenomenon. I think many of you can probably share stories from, as Abed said, 20, 30, 40 years ago about how difficult it is to talk about Palestine in this country. From the LA 8, to attacks on students and scholars, we all know that this isn't new. Sorry, is everybody hearing me? Thank you. It's just not the right view of this. What we're seeing today, I think, is a new level of engagement on this issue. From every attack on Gaza, and there have been, 2008 to 9, 2014, and in between, people have been more and more galvanized and mobilized to speak out, to get in the streets, to organize on campuses. There's an energy around this issue like I think we haven't seen in a long time, or maybe ever, in this country. The Israel's human rights abuses are broadcast in a way that they haven't been before, really. We see the human rights abuses on social media directly, immediately, the videos. So it's become more real, it's become more evident, and people react to that. One of the most important aspects of this growing movement is the youth-led nature of it. As Ahmed said, there are SJPs on over 100 campuses now, Students for Justice in Palestine groups, and other pro-Palestine groups. It's not just SJP. And they're doing amazing work to bring awareness about Palestinian rights to their fellow students. They're doing mock checkpoints to show their fellow students what it's like to have to go through a checkpoint and show your ID every time you have to go to school or to work. They're doing mock walls, they erect structures to show what it's like to have something blocking your life. They put mock eviction notices on dorm room doors to show their fellow students what it's like to be evicted from your home and have it demolished to make room for settlers. So this is really an important reason why there's so much more energy right now around it, because it's students, it's youth who are passionate and who are doing creative things to bring awareness to this issue. And the other really important factor here is the extent to which Palestine is not just being talked about by itself. It's not just about Palestine. We are linking it to all of the other social justice issues that we're seeing today. Immigrant rights, mass incarceration, the border wall, Ferguson, the movement for Black Lives. People were in the streets in Ferguson making the connection between what's happening in this country with militarized police and what's happening in Palestine, giving advice about how to deal with tear gas. So this solidarity and this cross-movement work is critical to why this movement is growing and is getting support from beyond the Palestinian community, the Arab and Muslim community. It's getting support from broader social justice movement. And we see that in the Women's March, where you have Palestine represented. You see it in the, the recent strike where Palestine was represented. So it's important to recognize how central this is to what's happening now, and in turn the backlash that we're seeing. So the Black Lives Matter, the movement for Black Lives, put out a platform, and Palestine, bringing up Israel's treatment of Palestinians was central. They called it genocide, and they endorsed boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And then we have BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions. Modeled on the South African nonviolent movement to boycott, divest from, and sanction South Africa. This is an attempt to get the international community to hold Israel accountable for its human rights abuses, for its denial of basic Palestinian rights for decades. And we see successes every day. So you have US labor unions, churches, academic associations, student governments endorsing BDS. You see companies like Veolia and G4S and SodaStream and Ahava responding to pressure from BDS activists. And then you see, as happened more recently, NFL players who were recruited to go to Israel on a kind of PR trip saying, wait a second, I'm not going to be used in this way. And that was because of, again, a pressure from activists who were saying, wait a minute, look at why this is happening and why you're being recruited to do this. So, in response to this growing movement, in response to these connections that are being made between struggles and between movements, we're seeing quite a hysterical response from Israel and from the dozens of Israel advocacy groups here in the United States who are working in concert with the Israeli government or to support the Israeli government. Israel has called BDS a strategic threat of the first order, and they are treating it as if it's a military enemy almost, investing tens of millions of dollars into thwarting the movement. They attack one of its leaders, Ahmad Barghouti. That is happening all over the world. It's not just happening in Palestine and Israel. It's happening here as well, and it's happening in Europe, etc. So they go to great lengths to undermine this movement. And we're seeing a range of tactics that they use to do this. One of, the legal tactics have been among the most used. So we see, lawsuits. We see smear campaigns. We see legal complaints against universities for supposedly allowing an anti-Semitic environment to exist because an SJP group is doing a mock checkpoint or something else. We see legislation that is directly attacking BDS and campus advocacy. So this kind of legal bullying is front and center of efforts to stifle this movement, to shut it down, in order that these conversations don't happen, right? They see divestment campaigns at universities actually changing people's minds and passing among the student bodies, and they know that this is the next generation that will influence US policy. What I think people don't realize is the scale of what's happening. And just to give you an idea, between 2014 and 2016, we responded to 650 incidents of suppression of Palestine advocacy. About 80 to 90% of these were on campuses, because again, that's where the activism is highest, and that's where the suppression is also highest. And that's, we also responded to another 200 legal questions, so people coming to us and saying, I'm doing this, I'm afraid of this, what are my rights, etc. So it spans the country. They are not isolated incidents. We see the same tactics being used again and again, it affects a huge number of people, hundreds of activists and students and academics. What gets lost, I think, is the human element, what effect it has on people.